committee meeting to order. And first on the agenda is the review of the report for January 2021. Either Reno or Jennifer, is there anything of note to point out in this particular report?
Yes. Let me get my notes up here. Spinning wheel of death. Come on. No, we're not mailing.
Sorry. Let me turn this off.
Reno had emailed me a few notes. Reno, do you want to go ahead while I find my notes?
Okay. I'd like to.
There it is.
To mention about publicity and programming actual expenses, which is 14,077.46 with a 241 variance. This is due to the PNG expenses or the project generation grant expenses for the month. For maintenance of building also, we have actual expenses of 6,691.48 with a 68 variance due to the HVAC maintenance contracts and repairs. For maintenance of equipment, we recently purchased a self-checkout machine and also the Cisco umbrella renewal, which is for 1 year. Total of which is 6,954.92. And for utilities, we have gas and electricity that covers for the period November 1, 2020 to January 25, 2021. The total cost is 8,921.64. For we receive also reimbursement from CARES Act. Receive 1,104.74. Also this month we have received donation from Ice Barn, Indiana, $500. Those are the highlights for the monthly report for January 9, 2021.
Yeah, so the PNG grant, that's the Project Next Generation grant. We pay for that out of pocket and we get reimbursed. We put in a request for reimbursement in January. So we should be getting all that back from the state.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you. Mark has joined us now as well. Jane, Mark, do either of you have any questions about the January treasurer's report?
No, I don't.
What is the Ice Barn? I just don't know what that is. It says Ice Barn, Indiana. That was the $500 donation.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is either. Reno, do you know what that is?
That was the 500 donation from for the bench, I think, for ground.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I understand. Okay. Otherwise, I don't. Thank you.
Cindy has also joined us. Cindy, you're still on mute, so.
There, now am I?
We hear
Now
you.
we can.
I don't have any of the information for this meeting.
You don't?
Mm-mm. Unless if it's on, let me see if it's on my other email. I usually get it on my work email. So I was trying to figure out how to get on here.
You're on the list. There's a Cindy on the list is all I can tell.
There is, and I usually get it on my, but it wasn't in my, did it come from Jennifer?
Uh-huh. It says
the last one that I have from Jennifer for
Danville
January.
organization.org.
Do what?
It was at Danville118.org.
Yeah, both the board packet and the
Yeah, I don't have that.
finance.
Well, let me double check it again. What day
I
did you
can-
send it?
February 12th.
Okay. From Jennifer?
Mm-hmm.
Could we just forward you the email?
Yeah.
That's okay. I'll see if it's there. Or yeah, that'd be great. Either way. Let me look by.
Well, who's going to forward it? We don't all.
I
need-
got it. I got it right
You
here.
got it?
Yep.
Okay.
So there's the board packet.
I have one from Jessica on that day.
Can I forward it to you?
I think
Okay.
Jennifer is.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just sent you the finance and the board
Okay.
packet.
Good.
Would appreciate if you could give me a call back. My number is 217.
Should we? Do you have, should we go ahead though with this or?
Yeah, I mean, you guys can go ahead. I still don't have it.
Okay.
Par
Okay,
Barrett
do we have,
at Danville118.org.
Mm-hmm.
Cindy, did you get the evaluation stuff that I sent today? Because I sent that to your personal.
I haven't checked email today.
Okay. Well, you might want to check and make sure you got it.
All right.
You've lost your voice.
It's a result of the surgery, my carotid surgery. The swelling is pushing on the vocal nerves. So as it goes down, my voice is getting a little better, but it still isn't great. So doing what I can.
We can
Yes,
hear
Linda, I have yours.
Okay.
And no, I did not get the other one.
I wonder if District 118 has some kind of block on it.
Can you
I
send
was
it?
going to say, you might be
personal.
advised to switch it over to her personal.
What's your
Jennifer?
personal?
Oh, we
Cindy?
just have one to use, so it doesn't
See,
get.
C Par Barrett at gmail.com.
That's Barrett with 2 T's.
Uh-huh. That's weird because I get stuff from Jessica. That's just really strange.
Yeah, and I have a distribution list that I use to send the
Yeah,
board
I mean-
packet every month. I haven't changed it.
I've gotten
Oh,
it
no.
every time, so. Sorry.
That's okay. It
that's
is
okay.
what
Do
it
we
is.
have a motion to approve the treasurer's report for January?
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Jane, seconded by Mark. All those in favor? I think in committee, we can do a voice vote on Zoom, right? Or do we need to do this? We've been doing voice.
I would just do the
Voice.
voice then.
Okay.
Yeah, you're fine.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Hi.
Sounds like a good portion of us approve that. Let's move on to invoices.
I still haven't gotten that on this either.
I don't know, maybe it's something with the library's email. I don't know.
Okay.
It shouldn't be, but if one of you can send it to Cindy that's not at the library.
I don't know. It's
Jane says she will.
okay.
Thank you, Jane.
Maybe Facebook's blocking it.
Now it came. There's Jennifer. Okay, now it's here. All right, never mind.
Okay.
I like things to be instantaneous.
Looking at the invoices, anybody, I guess maybe to make this as efficient as possible, Reno, Jennifer, are there any invoices that we should take note of?
No, I don't think so. Reno?
The invoices, they are just normal. Some of those invoices are just, I think, they're just regular invoices that we usually pay, like Baker and Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Also, St. Gates Learning, also Midwest State, and also some utilities that we paid for this month. Like for example, the, what do you call this one, the exit door that we paid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the door,
Yeah, that's the one that we paid. And
which is coming from foundation
it is from foundation.
reimbursement. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, that's on the very last page of invoices.
Yes.
There's one from CN Custom Steelworks. That's the
Yeah.
security. That's the security door.
Yes.
Yeah.
The emergency door, and then right below that, from Envisionware, is the invoice for the self-checkout machine.
Yeah.
Are there any questions about any of the invoices?
How long was the insurance? What time period is insurance covered there for the 13,000? I should probably know that, but I don't.
It is usually paid during the first pay period.
Okay.
It's a group insurance. It's monthly group insurance. It is usually paid after the first payroll.
Okay. Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the invoices?
So moved.
Moved by Mark, seconded by Cindy. No other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the invoices and moving them on to the full board signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is approved. Old business, I don't have any old business. Let's move on. We have anybody else from the committee have any old business? Hearing none, let's move on to the action items. The first on the list is the action item detailing the various grant requests to the Danville Library Foundation. Jennifer, is there anything you'd like to add at this point about this particular request?
Just that I had the opportunity to discuss this with the foundation exec board last Thursday. I expected shock and falling out of seats at the amount that we're asking for, because it is significantly more than what we usually do, and there was none. So we kind of discussed roundabout that we decided to shoot for the stars this time around. Worst they can tell us is no, and we'll move on. And there's also an understanding that we don't know what's going to happen this year, when we'll be able to have large scale events again, if at all, this year. And so some of the stuff we're asking for is in the best hopes that will happen. And if not, obviously, that's money we won't be spending. So it comes now to you all to tell me that it's ridiculous to ask for this money, or to vote it on ahead to the regular board meeting, and then I will send all these applications to Peter on Friday. But from the foundation's end, so far so good.
Maybe the foundation's turned over a new leaf. The library used to have to just cry to get 20,000 or 30,000.
I think the times have changed, so that's a good thing.
The purpose there is to support the library.
Yes,
Yes, and
as I've reminded them many times.
and Peter feels very strongly
I.
that that is his job, is to support us. So
They even changed their logo to make it more obvious. They have our logo sitting on a pillar.
yes,
I'm a little surprised at the 509,000 because that's more than their income from their investments this year.
Jennifer, about half of this for this author series. What is that?
So Jessica, do you want to explain the author series since it's your grant?
Sure. We have an opportunity, and there's a programming company that has access to a lot of authors with, sorry, I'm blanking here.
Like high-end authors,
Yeah.
like Caroline Kennedy and Tom Brokaw.
Yeah, and James Patterson. Everyone in the library really, really wants to get LeVar Burton. Like Tana French, basically any author that our patrons read regularly is on this list, but they're also really expensive.
Yeah, there's some feedback from somebody's end, and Jessica's kind of breaking up, but we have price points for these people, and they're all in different levels of availability and whatnot.
The prices are a little bit lower if they're, I think it's more.
Well, as a patron of the library, I think that sounds exciting. Very exciting.
Thank you.
And I've been through times when the foundation it was very difficult. And I think it would be quite exciting to try for this and see what they say. Knowing that there are quite a few things here that are going to create a lot of work or challenges, but that's wonderful.
Well, and as Jennifer said, we don't know till we ask. So let's ask and see what happens.
I agree.
Is there a motion to approve this action item and move it on to the board? We have a motion from Jane. Second?
Second.
Seconded from Mark. Any other questions? All those in favor of moving this action item onto the board for its consideration signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you. Let's move on to the next action item, which is a quote for a new cash register, I guess for lack of a better term. This is for the reference desk. The background information is there. This new device will allow us to accept credit and debit card payments. And I'm assuming this new piece of machinery will just make life easier for those in the reference department.
Yes.
Any other questions about this action item? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve this and move it on to the full board?
I'll make the motion.
Moved by Jane, seconded by?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Cindy. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The next action item involves a quote for the installation of some new flooring in the second floor conference room. These funds will be coming out of maintenance and or meeting room equipment and maintenance. It's in the building fund where these funds are coming from.
Right. We have it set aside to, replace the carpeting in the entire library at some point. The carpeting in the conference room looks pretty bad. It's faded and worn out. It looks like it's original to the building. What we've been talking about with the meeting rooms is eventually having the tile flooring down, easier to clean up spills and whatnot when there's food and drink in those rooms. And since we are asking for a Zoom room equipment grant from the foundation, adding this flooring in, and then Steve will go in and paint, and we'll redo other things in there and just freshen it up, and having this new flooring is part of that. I have a sample on my desk. Unfortunately, I'm not at the library, so I can't show you, but it closely resembles the wooden doors. It's got kind of that reddish cherry wood. It's very pretty.
Any other questions about this particular action item? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve this onto the full board?
So moved.
Moved by Mark. Cindy, were you seconding there?
Oh.
Yep, you're muted again. Go the other direction. Whatever you just did. There you go.
We'll try that. I'll do whichever I needed.
All right, we'll say that Cindy seconded that motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Hi.
All right. One last action item. And this involves paying off the remaining early retirement incentive balance.
Yeah, so Ashlyn asked us about this, if we would be able to pay off our portion of it, thereby saving money because the interest rate is over 7%. So we would actually need to then borrow $8,014. Susie got involved in this conversation only because she knew the history of it. She thought we owed something like 20,000 or something like that, a much higher amount than we did. No, I'm not sorry, not 20, more like 60,000, I think. So knowing we only owe 16 is quite a bit difference. And her advice was to pay it off and be done with it. And since I had calls from the mayor and Ashlyn and Linda had contact from the mayor, I believe they would really like us to do this.
Yeah, it is my conversation with the mayor. This is part of the city's overall effort to cut debt. The city in a better place. So they're trying to do this across the board. My suggestion is, if we can, we probably need to do it.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions about this item? Is there a motion to pass it on to the full board?
Well, I think I have a question. If we borrow from the general fund, when is that paid back then?
Then we should be able to pay it back when the next budget starts.
Okay. Okay. So there's a plan to do that. And,
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Then I would make the motion to pay.
Jane's made a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Cindy seconded. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving this motion and moving it on to the board, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Our next meeting is going to be, next meeting of the Finance Committee is March 16th at 3:45. No other business for the Finance Committee. I suggest we adjourn so we can start the board meeting. We'll say we're adjourned.
Yeah.
Got it. All right, we'll go right into the board meeting. Because we're a little late. Again, I apologize about my voice. Doing the best I can. Swelling going down, and it's getting a little better. So hang with me if you can, because I have to use a lot of hair to get something else. So whoever's not muted, please mute. We're getting feedback. Thank you. So bear with me. If you can't hear me or understand me, just tell me. That's fine. I won't get offended. So we'll bring this meeting of the board to order. And Ms. Andrews, your report. You're muted.
Jane, you're muted.
I did what you said.
And I thank you.
I think everyone's received now a copy of the minutes from the last meeting. Are there any questions concerning those minutes? I see none. With that, do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make the
So
motion,
moved.
Melissa.
Okay, Melissa, I think is made the motion, and Jim, then you seconded. And I think we need a roll call then to approve these we've done in the past. Is that correct?
Yes, go ahead, Reno, please.
Hey, Reno, we need a roll call, please.
Okay. Jane,
Yes?
Jim,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Melissa,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Jeremy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
She still has adequate supervision and she's 17.
I don't know what that was. All right, moving along. Treasurer's report, Mr. Knobloch, you're up again.
The treasurer's report for January 2021, representing the 9th month of the current fiscal year. The Finance Committee just approved this.
Yes. As Reno pointed out, there is a variance for publicity and programming because we paid for our materials for the Project Next Generation grant. We'll be getting reimbursed that amount by the state. And there's been expenses with the HVAC, which we'll talk about later. And then we did receive our CARES Act reimbursement.
And as you can see on page 2, there's a fund balance of $1.8 million right now. Are there any other questions about the treasurer's report for January? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve this report?
I'll move to approve.
I think that was Mary.
Yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Cindy. Reno, we need a roll call on this, please.
Jane,
5 bags in 1 day for a 17-year-old girl.
Yes. That's all right.
Mark,
Yes.
Unfortunately, no.
Cindy,
Yes.
Melissa,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
and Jeremy.
Yes.
Doesn't say every.
Thank you.
Martha's here too, Reno.
Oh, Martha.
Martha is here as well.
Martha. That's Martha? Okay. Martha?
She's
Oh,
muted.
she's muted.
Hey, Martha, you're muted. Let me see if I can unmute you. No. It doesn't let me unmute her. I can only ask to unmute.
There she goes.
There she is.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
Martha?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Martha.
All right, the next thing from the treasurer's report are the invoices. We have, you should have received in your packet both invoices for January and then a group of invoices from the month of February. Are there any questions about any of the invoices? Just to make note, at the last page of the January invoices, dated the 29th of January, towards the bottom of the page, there are two larger invoices than normal. Most of the other invoices are pretty routine. The one for $3,200 for CN Custom Steel Works, that was for the steel emergency door that I think we've talked about in past meetings. And just below that is a $4,900 bill from Envisionware, and that's for the self-checkout machine. Are there any other questions about any of the invoices? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve these?
Also move.
Moved by Jane. Is there a second?
I'll second. Melissa.
Seconded by Melissa. Any other questions? Hearing none, Reno, would you please call the roll?
Jane,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Melissa,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
and Jeremy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Did you get Martha, Reno?
Oh, Martha.
No. Yes.
Martha, I'm sorry. Thank you, Martha.
That's all I have for the time being.
Thank you. Next up, Director Hess, your report and personnel report.
So I won't go into too much detail here, just a couple things to point out and update since I sent this to you. So we are open to the public again. We have our public computers going. As Taylor noted, we had 80 computer sessions in our last week of January. So glad to see those are being used once again. I included that we had applied for a grant with IHLS with one of their retired vehicles. I found out at 5 o'clock Friday night that we were awarded that grant. So we will be able to sell or piece out our beast van that we don't use. And we have a new vehicle that is coming to us. They have unwrapped it with their logos and whatnot. So we're excited about that. And Johnson was the one who applied for that grant. So thank you, Johnson. I was on Newsmakers with Linda, and I always appreciate being on the radio with Linda, even though I was a little almost late coming to it because of Victoria. But such is life.
Victoria was having a morning.
Yes.
We all do.
She's knocking on the door right now, in fact. So I also wanted to point out that we have subscribed to a resource called HR Source. Besides having trainings and resources online, the best part about them is they have a hotline that you can call and talk to an HR representative or an HR lawyer. And I don't know, Jessica, how many times have we called recently? Like going on 10 here since we started that less than a month ago.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So well worth the money. Something else I wanted to point out in Mary Jane's report is we're having card requests from people who live in Danvilles across the country. We are working with Patron Point to finally get our card registration portion of our contract with them up and going, which will then automatically verify the patron's address, whether they live in Danville proper, 61834, or Danville, California. So that should take some of the load off of circulation very quickly here. And update on curbside pickups. We had 456 last month. There's things to share about the building, but we'll wait till building committee if that's okay.
Yeah, they're gonna be fun.
Yeah. So, Jessica, do you have anything to add?
The biggest thing was I dropped the number of posts per day on social media because it was getting a bit overwhelming for, I think, patrons and myself. And I started that in January and I'm continuing it now. And the return on investment numbers show that it's totally good. So the patrons apparently don't miss those extra print posts. You can only like so many things in a day, I think. So that's going pretty well. And also I connected with Million Advantage so that we can place our printed calendar of events or other flyers in their magazine that goes out monthly to offices and businesses all over the county. So that's very exciting.
Good deal. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, thank you both. Finance Committee, Mr. Nikonoblock.
Oh, we have a few action items for the board to consider this month. The first action item involves the grant request that the library would like to make of the Danville Library Foundation for fiscal year 2020, 2021. Well, check that. We're talking fiscal year 2021 and 2022.
Yes.
Anyway, Jennifer has compiled a list that totals $509,000. And she informed the Finance Committee meeting that she met last week with the Foundation Board, and the Foundation Board seemed open to the idea. So Jennifer, I don't know if there's anything more you want to add about either specific items on this list or just the general response that you received from the foundation.
Nope, just that there's several big ticket items. There's also a number of one-time purchases. So that helped pile up the cost. I also have 2 new department managers who are very eager to get programming started in their departments. And I told them, ask for what you need. And that's exactly what they did. So.
And as we've said before in the Finance Committee meeting, it doesn't hurt to ask. Might as well ask and see what they have to say.
Right.
How much do you usually ask for?
Last year we asked for 61,000.
Okay. And sound like they were okay with it.
They were non-committal, but they didn't say absolutely not. So.
Well, and as Bill noted earlier, and I've said many times, they're here to fund us, our projects and our needs. So it's not an unreasonable request. We've just never asked for that much. So we'll see what they say.
I guess, Jennifer, you might explain how, even though we make these requests, some of these items are contingent upon us being able to have programming and things like that. So we don't necessarily get this money unless we're actually going to use it for something.
Right. Everything that we're asking for, we have to figure out how to pay for it up front, and then we get reimbursed. So that's why some of these requests come through like, hey, I want to buy this, and then we'll get reimbursed here. So that's why, or you see it in the budget, we've paid so much, but we're getting reimbursed. So Peter's not just going to hand me a check for $509,000 in one go. So anything that doesn't happen, obviously, even if it's approved, if we don't have the program, we don't get reimbursed for it.
Are there any other questions about the list? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve this?
I'll move to approve.
Second,
It was moved by Mary. It was seconded by Mark. Any other questions? Hearing none, Reno, would you please call the roll?
Jane,
Yes,
Jim,
Yes.
Mark,
yes,
Cindy,
Yes.
Melissa,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
and Jeremy. Oh,
Yes.
Jeremy, Martha.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you all.
The second item that I have, action item, and this was approved by the Finance Committee. It's a quote for a staff register in reference. This new register will allow library staff to accept credit and debit card payments. This Envisionware that gave us this quote, this is the same company that we purchased the self-checkout machine from, so.
Right.
And this money will be coming out of the maintenance of equipment line item. Any other questions about, are there any questions about this particular action item? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve it?
so moved.
a second.
Moved by Mark, seconded by Jane. Any other questions? Hearing none, Reno, please call the roll.
Jane,
Yes,
Jim,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes,
Cindy,
Yes.
Melissa,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Jeremy,
Yes.
and Martha.
Yes.
Thank you.
The next action item involves approval of a quote for some new flooring in the second floor conference room. The current flooring, the carpeting that's up there is faded and I don't know, is that the original carpeting?
I think it
building?
is.
It's original.
All right. So it's got some years on it. I once took in a car that had an old battery in it to Hawes Battery and Electric there on, and the guy looked at the car, looked at the battery and said, "It don't owe you nothing." So I bought a new battery. So the flooring don't owe us nothing anymore. So we're gonna put in some of this vinyl plank flooring, which should be easier to maintain and hold up fairly well. The quote is for $3,220.84 from Danville Flooring Warehouse.
And they did our carpet that we had replaced recently.
Any other questions? Are there any questions about this particular action item? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve this quote and move ahead with this purchase? Moved by Melissa, seconded by Cindy. Any other questions? Hearing none, Reno, please call the roll.
Jane,
yes,
Jim,
Yes.
Mark,
yes,
Cindy,
Yes.
Melissa,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Jeremy,
Yes.
and Martha.
Yes.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I have one last action item, and this involves the library paying off the balance that's due in the early retirement incentive program. Since Finance Committee went into overtime, probably everybody has already heard this discussion. Are there any other questions on this? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve this expenditure?
I'll make a motion.
Moved by Melissa. Do we have a second?
I second.
Seconded by Martha. Any other questions? Hearing none, Reno, one more time with that roll call.
Jane,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Melissa,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Jeremy,
Yes.
and Martha.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. That's all the Finance Committee has to report this month. We'll meet again March 16th.
Thank you, Mr. Knobloch. And Reno, I gotta tell you, I love the way you pronounce Melissa's name.
I do.
It's really nice.
Thank you
We'll
so
sit here
much.
and do roll calls all day.
Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome. Cindy, anything to report for policy?
Nope. Our next meeting is March 9th at 4:15.
Thank you. Jim, anything for building committee?
The building committee did not meet, but there have been some building issues that have come to light.
Do we want to
Jennifer-
talk about those here, Jennifer?
Yeah, why don't we, if I can just mention what the plan is.
Let's bring everybody up to speed.
Okay, so over the past week or so, we've had some of the same recurring issues happen with the HVAC system. The pipe busted in the men's room and leaked water all over the men's room and the vestibule. The boiler shut down that same night. And then Johnson Controls came out and found several other issues. So they've been here quite a bit, and I've had a couple talks with our main guy, Jason, and then Luke, Linda, and Jim into it, that on the one hand, we are very fortunate to have gotten 26 years out of this HVAC system. Their shelf life is usually more like 12. On the other hand, things that should have been fixed and or upgraded all along here weren't. And so now, had things been upgraded, replaced as they should have been, Jessica and I probably wouldn't have to deal with this until the next directors came along, because we'd be retired. Instead, we get to do it all. Lucky us. So the Johnson Controls people, Jason and Grant, are going to do a tour of the building and find those things that we can upgrade now to be proactive in finding problems before they become problems. For example, upgrading our control panel. So when something starts to go wonky, Jason, Steve, and I get a text message that says, boiler 2 is dropping so many degrees or whatever, instead of it happening, exploding, water going everywhere, and then Steve finds out about it 4 hours later. And again, that's something that could have been upgraded a long time ago, but never was. So that is what we are looking at doing, so that we hopefully can get a payment plan going and have an idea of what this is going to cost, instead of emergency paying money out. We are upgrading things. They took out bearings from, you'll forgive me, I am not an HVAC expert here, but I'm slowly becoming one. They took the bearings out of something, and they were the original bearings with the installation of the HVAC system. And Jason was like, that's something that we can just go in and just replace them, and then you've got new ones instead of waiting for it to break.
When I talked to Jennifer about this, my thought is, if they do a walkthrough and evaluate our system as a whole, then we can start putting this plan together and budgeting for it to replace it and keep it. Otherwise, we literally are looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, but we can't just ignore it. Now that we understand what's going on, we need to understand what's going on, the whole gamut of that. So that's probably one of the most serious issues facing us. And I'll probably, I think maybe sleep better once we have an idea of a plan and how we're gonna handle it. So once we know that, we will let all of you know, work perhaps with the building committee, and then with the business manager, and figure out where we're gonna go. So if anybody has ideas or thoughts, please share. But otherwise, it seems to me the best thing we can do right now is to completely evaluate the situation, see what we're facing, and then figure out how to resolve it.
And I would assume that they will, in this list, make it a prioritize things as to what should
Yes.
be done first.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
we definitely need that. So we
Mhm.
know what we can afford to do and what most needs to be done.
Mhm.
Again, we got an extra 12 years or more out of a system that wasn't supposed to last that long. So we're blessed. Now we just have to step up and try to get everything righted. Anything else, Jennifer?
That was it.
Jennifer, did Johnson Controls give you any kind of when they're going to do their walkthrough, any kind of timeline on this yet?
It sounded like maybe he was going to try to do it today, but of course that was before we were closed for
did.
weather. So hopefully sometime this week.
Do
So
we
I
need to
guess-
save some? Oh, go ahead.
With that in mind, I know the building committee isn't expected to meet until April 13th. So I guess, should we put the rest of the building committee,
Yeah,
Melissa and Martha
I
and
would
Jeremy
suggest
on
we do that.
call that we might be calling all of you to attend the building committee meeting to help
Yeah.
kind of move this along once we get this information.
It would be great to have everybody at the table or the Zoom so that we can consider this and all of you can have input.
Okay. All right.
Do you need to save some of that request from the foundation?
Hopefully not.
I was going to say, they don't usually do that. They like programs.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, old business. This morning, that's the next one, per capita grant.
Yep. So these were the last chapters of the standards for the per capita grant requirements. It's due on March 15th, so I'll be able to get that submitted here. I'm not going to go into all this because it's too much. Certainly, if you have a chance to read through it and have questions, we can talk about it. Just overall, going over the standards for programming and youth and young adult services, technology, and marketing, promotion, and collaboration. As I started, I got feedback from the managers that these were applicable to. And reading through some of the standards, these were the chapters that hit me the hardest. I think we're doing pretty well with everything else. We were able to check off most items in the chapters. We got a lot of work to do here in these areas. It was pretty depressing actually to read what we're expected to do and what all the things that we aren't doing. As wonderful as some of the things that we have been doing are and popular and well received as they are, and that's wonderful, there's still so much more we could be doing. So that's really all I have to say about that at this time, unless there's questions.
Any questions? So Jennifer and staff will just continue to plug away on this so we can kind of get back up to the level where we need to be.
Right.
New business. We need to name a nominating committee to check with existing officers to see if they want to stay in their positions. So Jeremy, I'd like to ask you and Cindy to take care of this. Pretty simple project. Hopefully it'll make you feel a little involved, Jeremy. It just entails reaching out to the officers, finding out if they want to continue to serve. And if they don't, then we'll work to find new officers. Jennifer has a list for you, the contacts. I promise it won't take very long for either of you. Okay?
All right.
Okay, we don't need a closed session, right?
Yeah, I would prefer a closed
You know-
session if we could.
Okay, all right. Hang on a minute here. I would read this, but I'm not going to. But I don't think my voice will cooperate. But I would accept a motion to go into closed session for the statutes listed. Do I have a motion?
I so move.
Thank you,
I'll second.
Jane and Melissa. Thank you very much. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right, we are in closed session.
Okay.
any other business we need to take care of, or do we just all want to hear Reno say Melissa's name again? If not, I would welcome a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second. It's Melissa.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Jeremy and Cindy, Jennifer will send you officer contact info. Okay? That's all you have to do. And then let me know. Thank you
Got
all.
it.
Stay safe.
Thanks,
All
everyone.
right.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.